We are back. Welcome into the 90 plus 2 podcast. It has been a while, some inconsistency here. Jeremy, very busy as we're getting into hockey season in the early going. So trying to make do when we can. And obviously, with United's drop in form recently, he hasn't been quite as, ecstatic about the game of football. But we've dragged him back. We've got another episode. Hopefully, going to try to stick to a one episode a week thing because I know Jeremy's super busy. Hopefully, I'm busier as the job hunt continues for me. But here we are. We're back. Jeremy, aside from the United woes, how are we?
We're doing good. I mean, apart from Man United absolutely being dog water, covering the Rangers has been fun. They just got off of a 5-game, 10-day road trip out west. So I've been staying up kind of late last week. Games in Seattle, Vancouver, Edmonton, and Calgary were really kicking my butt. But the Rangers won them all. So getting to write in positive form has been a lot of fun instead of writing about negatives. If I was a Man U beat reporter, I'd be writing a lot of negatives right now. So I feel for my fellow beat reporters out there that are covering this godforsaken club. But great to be back with you. I love the haircut. I love the new kit. It's
Yes,
very
sir.
drippy.
Thank you.
But it's always good to be back and always fun to converse with you, my friend.
Yeah, this was the old birthday present to myself last month on
Nice. Love
so
that.
gotta get a Harry Kane kit, and these kits are beautiful. I really could
They're,
not
that's
get
the
one of them.
Oktoberfest one, right?
Yeah,
I
this was
love
one of
that.
their Oktoberfest one.
That's great.
Also got to shout out, since you're talking hockey, got to shout out the Boston Bruins. They've started out really well.
Mm,
I've actually been watching a little bees,
yeah.
especially with the World Series being extraordinarily boring and underwhelming. I ended up watching a little more Bruins hockey. The Celtics are back. They're
Oh,
fun. They're very, very fun. So some more I'm trying to bring more positives as another Celtics
yeah.
fan.
But you're Tottenham Hotspur are just aboard that train of just success and well doing, and Big Ange just having fun with the press and
See,
talking about
Tottenham.
who's a
I,
DJ, what's a DJ? Do they still call them
yeah.
DJs anymore? I love
Tottenham and
that.
success are two things that typically don't go in the
Right,
same sentence. So,
right.
well, I do have to say they have a stretch of games coming up that I'm holding my breath about before we, get too excited
Yeah,
because,
don't count the chickens before they hatch,
yeah,
as they always say.
yeah, Chelsea, Aston Villa, Man City, West Ham, Newcastle, and Wolves in that stretch is, not the
Oh,
easiest, especially
the
with how Wolves
Korean
have been
guy.
playing.
They're
Yeah,
playing the
that
Korean guy.
Hwang Hee-Chen has been electric this year. It's a top of the league for goals is between Holland, Son, Mo Salah, and Hwang Hee-Chen so far this year. Not something I would have put my money on. But all right, let's dive into it. We're gonna try to tackle way less. Really just a quick text in the morning. Hey, Jeremy, what do we want to cover this week? And if he misses anything, I add it, and it's as simple as that. We were trying to cover way too much and way too short of a time, and that was contrary to what we even did last year, which was even more than I think, not last year, but last season, which was even harder to manage. But there's one place I want to start, and it's with the midweek, what just happened. We'll hold off on United and Arsenal being eliminated
Oh, thank God.
and, and start with Bayern.
Wild.
As I'm
I
wearing a
know, right?
Bayern
It's only fitting, right? You're wearing
It is
the
only
cool
fitting.
shirt, but holy.
The number 15th currently team in the third division of the Bundesliga just eliminated Bayern from the Pokal.
The Deutscher
I
Pokal.
had to look up how to pronounce this team's name. Saarbrücken is the team's name.
Hadouken? Like from Street Fighter?
Close, very close. Saarbrücken is
Saarbrücken.
how it's, yes. It is
Carl,
this.
if we're pronouncing it, for butchering it, please let us know.
Yeah, please let us know. But I went to Google. Google doesn't lie. Um, a third. I don't even know how to contemplate this, but this is
Right?
the Bayern director said this. This is just unacceptable. I just don't understand how you can play such a bad first half. No courage, no speed, aggressiveness. You can't compete with any opponent like that. The disappointment is huge. And although this is a massive flop as far as Bayern is concerned, I do like that they're at least taking account a bit. Like accountability. This is the one thing I am going to pester a little bit about United. I'm going to warn you in advance. They have been way too soft on themselves in the media
Mm,
in the way they have
I I
responded to
agree.
things.
I agree.
I, at the very least, want to give Bayern's director and Tuchel, who had some other comments as well, credit for just labeling it what it is: a disappointment, a flop, a misstep. It is, you can't, there's certain things as certain clubs who have earned a certain reputation, you can't sugarcoat things. And I think that's also what is irritating. You can correct me as a United fan if I'm wrong. What is irritating United fans to a certain degree is it's one thing to struggle. It's one thing to be eliminated from certain competitions. It's one thing to possibly not find Champions League success. It's another thing to basically lie to your fans and completely sugarcoat it. And that's what it feels to a degree like United is doing. And at least Bayern on this mess step is not sugarcoating it. They label it for what it is. They lose to a third level Bundesliga side, like not let alone one that's sitting 15th in the table. That's tough. And the question now begs, with only the Champions League and the league to compete for, is Harry Kane going to win a cup or a title in his first season at Bayern? And I'm going to say no. I don't think he will. In present form, I don't until Leverkusen give me a reason to doubt
Right.
them. I don't think Leverkusen
Big
are
up.
beatable at the moment.
Big up Chavi
Um,
Alonso.
but I'll kind of hand it to you. Eventually, we're going to get to Bayern Dortmund and preview that a little bit. But
Mm-hmm.
just hear your comments on where Bayern is and maybe whether Harry Kane should have stayed in North London.
Right. So I'm assuming that a lot of our viewership is very familiar with English football primarily. So I went ahead and looked at so this is the third, so Saarbrücken are in the third flight of German football, correct? So I went ahead and looked at League One. So obviously the pyramid of English football is, and they joke about this a lot in Ted Lasso. It's the Premier League, the Championship, League One, League Two. So like Wrexham are in League Two. Everyone's very familiar with Welcome to Wrexham. So League One is a step above Wrexham. So I looked at the standings of EFL League One, and currently right now, that would be if Tottenham or Man City lost to
I
Bristol
would
Rovers,
I would say
Port.
Man City. I don't think Tottenham's are in the Bayern comparison
Yeah,
quite yet.
I'll say Man City.
Yeah.
It's if Man City were to go into the FA Cup and lose to Bristol Rovers, Port Vale, Exeter City, like teams that you're familiar if you play the FIFA or EA Sports FC now. Like if you're familiar with like bronze cards and silver cards, there's a lot of those players are on teams like that. I don't think we've seen anything like this in a long time. Especially like a third. The only time I remember this big of a deal, like a low level team beating one of European or one of a country's best, was when Bradford City upset Chelsea in the FA Cup. I want to say this was around like 2015, 2014, that range. Um, I'm not fact checking right now just because like I knew the team, but we haven't seen anything like this in a while. So it really is amazing, especially when national American outlets are tweeting it as well. Like ESPN, it was like Saarbrücken, like third level. I think at one point it was like third level German club upsets Bayern Munich. Like they weren't even naming them just because like no one knew who Saarbrücken were. Um, and it was a 96th minute goal. Um, absolute like I wish I was a fly on the wall in that stadium for that reaction. Um, but before I go on a tangent, I want to just end it quickly here. I do agree with your point about I do think that some clubs really sugarcoat their failures in the media. I really do I really do appreciate managers and general managers, if we're talking American sports, who are really upfront because the fans see it. The consumers see bad product. We know it's bad, right? I'm speaking of personal experience. We will get to this in momentarily. I know it's bad. Don't tell me like, oh, they really fought. BS, right? Like, don't tell me what. Like, I see the scoreboard. I see that they're losing, and for Bayern, like, this is really unacceptable. Especially for me, I've always considered Bayern like Bayern's the world's best. But then I'm like, Real Madrid is, but well, you know, um, it's always I always rotate between like Bayern, City, Real Madrid. This is one of your best clubs in the world losing to a team that you should have mopped the floor with 5-6-0 about that. So, um, yeah, I wouldn't sugarcoat anything because I think sugarcoating is going to cause even more of like an uproar with the fans, the fan channels, just because of the the lack of connect with club and consumer.
Yeah, no, I think you're definitely right. The thing, honestly, that I feel worst for in this situation, Harry Kane didn't even play, and he's the one that needs a title more than anyone else on this team.
He
He
didn't
didn't
play at
play.
all. He didn't like start or get subbed on.
He didn't
Is he
start
not?
or
He's not
he.
hurt.
No, he scored a
Yeah, he scored a
goal
midfield goal the other day against.
beyond the
Was that
midfield. He
was
had a
that
hat
Bochum?
trick
They
and
played
two
Bochum.
assists. I don't even at that point, if you're losing that badly, I don't even care who's on the other side of the field. I don't even pay
I think
attention.
it was Bochum. They're
I
blue. Yeah,
Yeah,
I think it was.
in doing a little research on the Bundesliga website. Fun fact about Saarbrücken: they were famously the first German team to beat Real Madrid. Fun
Whoa.
fact, 4-0. Back in it was like 51, 52 of the
Oh,
1900s.
hey, that's
So a
still
very long time ago. There was
yeah.
like
That was right before like the I call it like the Galactico, empire. Like when really when back in like the 60s and 70s, like they won. It's like they won the European Cup. It wasn't the Champions League back then, but
so it
if
was
you
in the yeah, it was in the European Cup that this
yeah, like
happened.
that's incredible. Good for
And
them.
they beat
They did
AC Milan once in as well. Would end up losing to AC Milan later on. But they were formerly in the French league system, and just as a result of kind of what was going on in World War II, then later on found their way into the German system.
okay.
And they've
Sorry.
really, from what I've seen here, they've only spent 5 years in the Bundesliga in top flight football.
Oh wow.
So they have a kind of a cool history for a club that hasn't had a ton of opportunity to have much of a history. But okay, that's enough Saarbrücken. I think we can move on. We'll touch a little bit more on
Never,
Bayern a little
never
later.
thought you would ever say that phrase on our podcast. It's enough Saarbrücken for today. Like, we can move on from Saarbrücken. But
Hey,
no,
maybe they are on their way back.
if they
I
go
don't
to the
know.
oh, they're destined for the final. They can beat down Bayern Munich. They can beat down anybody. Now they'll sure
Uh,
as hell beat Union. They'll crush
that's
Union Berlin.
yeah.
They'll crush Union Berlin.
But this is my big thing. Harry Kane came here. Sorry, I'm going to make one more comment. Harry Kane
So good.
came to win titles. That's what he wants. He wants trophies. That's what his career doesn't have. And you don't start nor play Harry Kane. You don't start Musiala. You don't start Coleman. You don't start Gnabry. You're asking for problems. And I will say, and Matthias de Ligt goes down injuries. He's going to be out for a month and a half now. So with it was, I believe, an MCL and like a capsule damage in his right knee. So like that was a costly game for Bayern. But all right, Jeremy, it's time to face the noise. United and Arsenal were eliminated from the Carabao Cup. Here are the results very quickly. Port Vale advance over Mansfield Town. Middlesbrough 3-2 over Exeter City. West Ham 3-1 over Arsenal. Chelsea 2-0 over Blackburn. Liverpool 2-1 over Bournemouth, closer than we maybe expected there. Everton continued to be a feisty little side, 3-0 over Burnley. Fulham 3-1 over Ipswich, and 3-0 Newcastle over Manchester United. So the two games, really, of course, that are worth talking about: West Ham over Arsenal, Newcastle over United. Everything else, I would say, was relatively predictable. Um, Ben White starts the game with an own goal. It was very funny. Mohamed Kudus with an excellent individual
He's
effort for
awesome.
he is very good.
He might be one of the like. Okay, you've had a lot of great signings for Tottenham like what there's been a lot of hold on. I'm blanking on names.
This
Like
season,
like Vicario was definitely one of the signings of the year, I would
Madison
say.
is the
James
signing of
Madison. I
this.
mean, yeah, but like Mohamed Kudus from Ajax, who luckily we're not really talking about the Dutch league, but that's a whole other story. Mohamed Kudus could easily be one of the best signings of the Premier League. Like he is so impactful, especially when he comes off the bench. And you know, I think West Ham have really lacked that number 10 creative midfielder. Like they had when they had Demi Payet, like Payet was so great. Like he didn't deserve to play for West Ham. He was that good. And I'm sure West Ham fans would somewhat agree with me. Like he was almost too good for West Ham at the time. I remember when they closed the bowling grounds before they went over to the London Stadium. Their last game was against Man U, and they ended up beating Man U 3-2. Man U were up 2-1, and they blew a 2-1 lead. Shocker. And Payet was so good in that game. And then they had like Manuel Lanzini. I think he's still on their team. Is he? I have no idea. But they've always lacked that like creative midfielder, and I really want to see Mohamed Kudus. Like, is it Kudus or Kudus? Like,
It's Kudus.
Kudus. I really want to see him develop into that like premier number 10 because West Ham are going to be a top 10, top 8 team, I think, for years. And like David Moyes is like, oh, he's all of a sudden he's a great manager. But I have really been impressed with his game so far. I really think he can thrive with a big environment, a big stadium, and a big crowd like the Lions. But that's just me. I don't know if you feel the same.
He's definitely one of the best signings outside of the top six, I would say. It's tough to compare him to
Yeah.
certain players that have contributed on that top level out of the big six clubs, and Newcastle. But
Well, no one on Man U has done anything.
well,
So,
after Tonali, there's no one really on
oh
Newcastle
God,
doing a
yeah,
whole lot.
that's
Yeah.
what's funny? Did you hear that? I know this isn't soccer, but an NHL guy got busted for gambling.
No, I didn't hear that actually.
The guy from the Shane Pinto from the Ottawa Senators. So
Hmm.
he was gambling. So we can talk about it because obviously people know now that
Connects, yeah.
Tonali's been suspended for 10 months. Um in the NHL, it's a little less severe because it wasn't on NHL games.
Hmm.
So I believe he's from Long Island, this kid. And like someone accessed it was like a FanDuel or a DraftKings account, and they saw that this account had like activity, but it was in his name, and
Hmm.
he got busted for half a season. So 41 games he'll be missing. So yeah, it's just funny that like gambling has just been a real big like topic and suspension today that I personally don't see it stopping, unfortunately, just because of how like commercialized it's been. But it
I
does
know
suck,
it
like the Tenali, like
I know it makes it tough to regulate, but players should be able to gamble on other sports.
I think so.
Obviously
Yeah.
not in the team building. Like you shouldn't have FanDuel open inside the locker room. But like you should be able to gamble on the NFL if you
Yes.
play soccer or
I agree 110%. Why not? Like
yeah, like I
as
don't
long
see
as
the
it's not your
harm.
games. But then again, like you have to find a way to track that you're not actually,
You doing your
because
games and stuff. Yeah.
yeah,
It gets
because if
tricky.
not for
I
that, yeah, like Pete Rose doing all that back in the day, like
yeah.
that's why he's not in the Hall of Fame for baseball.
Yeah.
Yeah, but did we confirm that it was football matches like for Tonali? Like it was soccer? Like it was
I don't know if I didn't see any confirmation, but I believe it was.
okay?
I'm not
Yeah,
100% sure though.
yeah. 10 months. Like I just look at it like you got 10 months in the Prem compare in UEFA. Isn't it UEFA? Is it a UEFA ban or is it a Premier League ban?
Uh,
Because he's missing the
I
Euros too.
yeah, he was banned by the Italian Soccer Federation.
Okay, so that's his
Uh,
country's banning him. Okay,
yeah, so I
that
I
makes
don't know.
sense.
Yeah. So I mean technically like I don't know how that works in terms of like having to be forced by the Premier League to do so. Like
Mm-hmm.
the Premier League having to abide by it, but it's probably just easier for them to kind of accept that ban in
Yeah,
general instead of fighting it. Because I imagine as an English club, you could technically try to find some type of loophole or something, but like he agreed to plea bargain with the Federation because he had a gambling addiction. So
Yeah.
there, I don't remember exactly what he was. Oh no, hang on. So recently acknowledged that his client has. This is from his agent. Recently acknowledged that his client has a gambling problem, and that Tonali told prosecutors he bet on AC Milan and Brescia when he played for those clubs.
Oh man.
So I'm surprised it's only 10 considering that.
Yeah. Because your
Because
own
if it's
club.
your own club, that's a problem. Like
Yeah,
that
it's
is a problem.
that's yeah, and that's a it's a disease, unfortunately.
Yeah.
And it's
Any
something
type of
that
addiction.
yeah, it's something that he'll get treated and he'll go to rehab for that. So I mean, I wish him well. I think he's a great talent. I thought he started very well with Newcastle. Obviously, one of his first games being here in the States over at Red Bull. So, getting to see him in that uniform was pretty surreal. We both were really surprised by that transfer. But no, I mean, we can kind of move into it with Newcastle. I mean, his club did put a
The
beat
thing.
down on a club that are
How much do we want to talk about it? You don't have to
I
go too far into it.
I know. I feel like I have to talk about it somewhat though. Like
We
I don't
can
know.
we can
I don't want to yell. They don't
finish.
deserve my
Yeah.
yelling. They don't
No,
deserve
they
it.
haven't earned that. They haven't earned
No.
that from you.
Like I'm just
Um,
like disgusted. Like I'm oh man. Like it's like a joke at this point. It really what it looks like. I haven't seen this unmotivated of an 11 man in a long time. In a very very long time. Maybe back to the days of like Louis Van Gaal, maybe a couple of the Mourinho days, although when Mourinho came in it was something different. I love Eric Ten Hag and I love his mentality when he came in and his resume spoke for itself. And but what it feels like right now is that this club is under such a microscope that it's just turning into like a reality show at this point. Like it's almost like we're like a fake football club. That's what it feels like. Like there's just so much with the ownership going on. Um, there was a whole lot.
season four, it's Ted Lasso, Man
Yeah,
United
right.
edition.
Yeah, like um, Jaden Sancho, that whole thing. Greenwood, that whole thing.
Anthony.
Anthony, God, like him being like, practically like, I like, I've really thought about like stepping away and just kind of taking it in just from like as a soccer fan and not like a supporter, just because like I don't want to put myself through this unhealthy. It really feels like an unhealthy relationship. Like I'm not getting anything out of this. And
Except last season was such a high too.
yeah, first year manager, finishing the top four, top three, um, win the
Get a trophy.
Carabao. It was awesome, right? Practically get the same team, just with Mason Mount, a new goalkeeper,
Hoyland.
Hoyland.
He has been a bright spot. I would do want to at least
I
inject.
agree. I agree. Just because like it's when you're a striker at United, like like oh, I get to beat Anthony Martial. Oh, I get to beat Wout Weghorst. Oh, whoopee.
Yeah.
So yeah, like Rasmus Hoyland has come in and become a number one striker option for this team. Awesome. But that's not enough. Like we gotta keep you gotta keep spending. And man, if anything is clear of what this club, like what the state of this club is, it was yesterday's result. That's just not acceptable. And it is no disrespect. It is no disrespect to Newcastle. They are a solid, solid football club. But man, oh man, it is bad. I at this point right now, and I know we talked briefly before we started. There is a lot of season left. There is a lot of season left, and there is enough time for Man U to really turn this around. Um, I just don't see it. I see this team finishing in like 12th, 11th. I doubt. I doubt we get any form of European football next year, and I think that's for the better. I really do. Like, I hope this is like a wake up call to be like, here, you don't want to sell the club, you don't want to do anything, and then like, I think a everyone on Twitter and all the fan pages, they say like, I'm sorry, I'm going off on a tangent, but
No,
it's
you're
been
good.
a
You're
while.
good.
A lot of people are saying back the manager, which I really want to do. I don't think it's the majority of his fault. I do think a lot of it is the quality. Like, there really shouldn't be a reason why I'm seeing Maguire and Evans every other day, even with injury, right? I wouldn't mind a partnership of Lindelof and John Claire Todibo, or Lindelof and Edmund Tapsoba. I wouldn't mind that. And there's actually a chance there. But when you got Old Man River and Slabhead, no disrespect, I know he scored against Copenhagen. It was, solid goal. What? What's up?
I was gonna say, aside from the last, the two games, the most recent two games, he had a really nice stretch of 3 games. So I do want to give him at least
Who,
credit for
Harry?
yeah.
Harry got man
He
of the match. Like, yeah, like
he deserves credit for the amount of crap he deals with to still be at least one of the few players on that team trying. I just want to at least,
yeah,
like, don't get me
I
wrong,
know.
should he be starting? Absolutely not.
Absolutely
But
not. But it's like,
I
Licha
want,
being
because
out,
we have been
Rafa.
so hard on him at every turn. I want to actually acknowledge that
Yeah,
at
he got
least
men of
he
the
is trying.
match.
At least he's trying.
He got men of the match, and like,
Yes.
but yeah, but like, I can't keep seeing him. No offense to him, I can't keep seeing him every day.
No, I agree.
Like,
That's fair.
and there's just a lack of quality. There's a lack of motivation. Like, I feel like that angry Chelsea fan in that video, right? Like, there is no passion, there is no vision, there is no aggression. Like, there really is. Like, that's really how I feel, and I'm sure that's how he feels too with his club. But um, man, I don't know. Like, I'm just like, sometimes I watch and I'm just like, this team just makes me want to like curl up in a ball and cry. I kind of I'm embarrassed to be a Man U fan. Like, I am genuinely embarrassed to say, like, I've been a supporter of this club for well over 10 years. And now it's at a point where I'm like, wow, I don't even want to wear a Man U kit out in public anymore because I'll just get crapped on. That's my rant.
So, 2 comments for me. One, should they, for whatever reason, go wayside from Ten Hag, the current favorite to be the Man United manager, is Zinedine Zidane at 20%, 20% most likely.
Oh, Zizou. Oh man,
Yeah,
I would take Zizou. But I don't think I
that's,
don't
I
think
saw that today.
I
He's the favorite. Should something
Mr.
happen.
Zizou. I know you're watching. I know you're a big fan.
Yes.
Don't even bother, because you
Not
have
worth your
such a
time.
great. No, I don't want this club to ruin his reputation. I really don't. I really, really don't. But go ahead, continue. What's your
Antonio
next?
Conte also had a 6% chance of being the next
Oh
manager.
my!
That would be comedy.
Him
um,
with that board, you got to be.
that would
Oh,
be
that's a
comedy.
reality show.
That would be
That's a reality
comedy.
show.
But
Oh,
my last other point on United, Bruno Fernandez needs a hard look in the mirror because he has not been a captain in any stretch of the imagination. He needs a hard look in the mirror, or he needs the badge taken away, or the armband taken away. And I don't necessarily know who's earned it per se. I would almost argue Onana because of how he handles the media and his general effort. But I don't think, personally, I don't think anyone else in the team has earned it. All right, before we dive into the Premier League, let's do a quick draw prediction here. We got the 4 matches for the quarterfinal. Let's see who we have moving forward into the semis. These matches really make it so there's going to be 2, I would say, general underdogs in this competition getting to move on. We'll go, I would say, better matches to worse matches. I'm going to say Liverpool, West Ham. Jeremy, who do you have?
you know me. I'm a closeted Jurgen Klopp fanboy, even though we were praising West Ham. In a close one, I'll have Liverpool advancing to the Carabao semifinals.
Okay. I'm going to agree. I mean, Liverpool have been really good this year. This one might be a tough one, depending on kind of what's going on in the midweek, or sorry, on the both either weekend. Chelsea, Newcastle.
Um, I'm a big believer, and if you lose to the champions, it's a fair run. So I'm banking on hopefully Newcastle win the Carabao Cup. They were in the final last year, so like
Mm,
they know what it's like, to get to that final. I believe this one, are they on the road? Yeah, they're at Stamford Bridge for this one, so it'll be tough, but I will still favor Newcastle to advance.
so yeah, I'm gonna back Chelsea here in this one. Everton Fulham. I'm gonna quickly say that I think Everton is gonna win.
I agree. I think the Toffees are hungry. Ever since they just stayed up on the last day last year, they've kind of had like vengeance on their mind, and they become like a more hungrier club. And I think this is a great spot for them to really solidify that mid to high table, reputation that they've had for so many years. This is an opportunity for them to make a lot of noise. Give me the Toffees as well to advance.
Yeah, I mean, they've been a fun team. They've been a real feisty
Pesky,
club for
pesky,
sure. They've been
pesky.
frisky,
Yeah.
frisky.
Mm.
Um, all right, so last one is Port Vale versus Middlesbrough. I won't pretend to know anything about either of these clubs in their current situation, like who they currently have.
Right.
Um, I'm gonna go for Middlesbrough.
Yes. Yes. Michael Carrick is the gaffer over at Middlesbrough. He was arguably my favorite assistant coach that Man United has had in the last decade. And he's the one coach, like, I know Ryan Giggs was on a staff, but like Michael Carrick has had the most success coming out of, Manchester United's academy and playing for Man United, being on their staff, and then he gets the head coaching job over at Borough. I'm pulling for. I really want Middlesbrough to like make the final. I love Michael Carrick. I think he's destined for a Premier League job, but first things first is getting Middlesbrough promoted, like getting them up to the top of the championship. And then I think in like 5 years' time, I think we're going to see Michael Carrick managing in the Prem. So give me Borough. I love Borough in this one.
All right. All right. So let's move out of the Prem. Some fun matches this weekend. We're going to do the Prem. Quickly going to touch on Bayern Dortmund. And then we'll do a little Premier League roundup, a label of each team after 10 matches. So there are some less so exciting matches. I'm going to rattle them all off. I mean, the two we're mainly probably going to touch on are Newcastle Arsenal and Spurs Chelsea. Those are the two big ones at the weekend. But there are some other games to at least draw some interest. Fulham, Man United. Obviously, any game with Man United is going to draw some interest, whether Jeremy wants to hide from it or not. Brentford, West Ham could be a pretty fun match. Burnley, Crystal Palace, I probably won't be tuning into necessarily over
Yeah.
some of these other matches. Everton, Brighton, I'm actually very
That's a
curious
fun
about.
one. That's a fun
That
one.
one is a very fun one. City, Bournemouth will probably go City's way. It might be earning Erling Haaland a triple captain
Hey,
in my
we
fantasy Premier League.
no disrespect, but like we said that about, well, we probably thought that about Wolves, and look how that turned out. So you never know. Any given Sunday, right?
I don't know.
Any
Wolves have been
given
in
weekend.
good form, and Rodri's back. So,
Yeah, yeah. That doesn't say.
Sheffield Wolves. Speaking of Wolves, then Newcastle Arsenal round out the Saturday slate. Sunday is Nottingham Forest, Aston Villa, Luton, Liverpool, and then Monday, which I still hate that it was flexed to Monday, Spurs, Chelsea. So, where do you want to start, Jer? I feel like we'll finish with Newcastle, Arsenal, Spurs, Chelsea. Do you want to touch on any of these other matches, or can we want to go straight through?
Yeah, Man U Fulham, must win for Man United. If they do not get anything other than 3 points, they are a failure. Next.
All right, fair
No,
enough.
I just think they need a win. They need 3 points more than ever. They are at an all time low, I think, in terms of morale, from support, from um the clubhouse itself. Like I genuinely think that they need to win. They need just to give us a little. I know it's the hope that kills you, right? That's what's from Ted Lasso, but
Yep.
just just give us something. Give us something. But yeah, I'm hoping for 3 points. I'm thinking they're gonna draw.
So Jeremy just wants to feel something, is what we're getting. Okay.
Yeah, I just want to be
Um,
loved, man. I just want to feel so.
tell me about it, Jeremy. All right, Brighton, Everton. You're thinking 7 versus 15. Not typically a fun match, but with the way Everton have been playing,
Mhm.
my voice got really high there. I'm sorry about that, folks. Yeah, I don't know. I just went through puberty all over again.
Time
All
to
right.
change.
Yeah, pretty much. Traumatic experience puberty was. All right. So Brighton Everton, actually kind of a fun match. I subtly, very subtly think we're getting a draw out of this one. I think Everton are going to
I
grab a point here.
I don't hate that. Where's the game being played? Is it at Goodison or Amex?
I believe it's at Goodison.
Oh, okay. That favors the idea of a draw more, in my opinion. Look, anytime you go into Merseyside, whether if it's Anfield or Goodison Park, you're getting a very passionate fan base. I can say the same a lot about the London clubs like Tottenham, like Chelsea, like Arsenal. The two Manchester clubs obviously have great overwhelming support. Merseyside might be one of the toughest places to play in all of in all of Europe. The city of Liverpool itself, with Liverpool and Everton, are no schlubs to look over, especially Goodison Park. Everyone looks at Everton right now, and they look at a mid to low table team, a team that barely survived relegation last year on the last day of the season. Um, I think it's a tough place to play, and I think it's a good test for Deserby, because we see what was that true with what Pep said? Like, this is the next manager of Man City. Did he actually say that?
I don't know what he meant.
I don't
He
know what
said
he I don't know
that,
what he meant,
but
but I do agree that he's one of the guys that's going to take over like a big job. Don't know if it's going to be in the Prem. It could be somewhere else in Europe.
Pep is
Um,
really generous with compliments, I will
yeah,
say. When it comes to
he's a
like the
nice
other man,
guy. I kind
he
of
is when it
I
he
kind
was
of
in
like
Ted
him.
Lasso, of course he was.
Oh yeah, he is in Ted
But like
Lasso.
when it comes to like talking about other managers, I feel like he just rains the praise, like even before it's deserved sometimes, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But he does have a point. Like he's a good manager. But that might be a little too soon. Just yet, just yet, a
No,
little too soon.
I think the big step for him right now is to just to keep Brighton as like a steady, European contender, Conference League, Europa, fight for, as of right now. I mean, you can take Man U's spot in the Champions. I mean, Tottenham are doing that right now.
Yeah,
Um,
that's
but
fine.
yeah, it's yours. But no, but like I could see them being like a Europa Conference contender for at least a couple few seasons. I just think they need to continue to invest. I think they've done a great job with like developing young players, but they've been selling them. They selling Moises and um the youngster what's his name, Evan Ferguson, right? He'll probably be sold to
I want to
a
see
bit.
him in Lily White.
Yeah.
I want to see him in Lily White pretty bad.
Oh man, I want to see him in red, but I don't think that's gonna happen. Don't. I'd go to Tottenham. I love Ange, so I love Ange just as much as you. Like, it sucked when he
Well,
left Celtic, but now that seeing
yeah.
him do this well is just
Tottenham are allegedly going to be going after a center back and a forward in the winter, either a
in
striker or
January.
in the especially like that's kind of their
Two is a
next.
lot for January.
If
That's
they're a team that's still in the title race, it makes sense to me.
Yeah. I think Levy has no like nothing but like to spend, right? Like I
Yeah.
think he just has to spend.
At this point, if you're Tottenham and you're somehow, I would say if you're still within 3 to 5 points of first, and City isn't in first, and it's an Arsenal or a Liverpool, you go all in.
I think so.
You put your chips in.
Why wait? You guys have been
Yeah.
waiting for this for God knows how long.
I mean, at the moment, North London's still undefeated. Both clubs. So if Tottenham, especially because I mentioned their schedule coming up, that little gauntlet of Chelsea, Wolves, Villa, City, West Ham, Newcastle. If you can get through that and still be top two, top three, put your chips on the table. Go for a Tap Silva and Evan Ferguson. Why not? Why not?
I would.
Ivan Tony's out there too. I
I
mean,
know. And another, when we talk about gambling too, another guy that was affected by gambling and
hopefully he learned his lesson.
yeah, what was he? He was 6 months.
Yes, I believe
Yeah.
so.
So he
I
comes
believe he was
back
at
in
6 months.
January, right?
Yeah, I think so. So he's going to move in January. He's not going to be at Brentford. Yeah, good luck with that.
I would
Uh,
love
I,
him. I would love him on United. I would love
I
like
did. I just think too many teams that need a striker who are in a
There are
current
a lot
better
of teams that need
position than
strikers.
United are going to be more convincing. Like Tottenham either need a striker or a left wing because you want to either Sonny moves back to the left or he stays at striker because he's been doing well there. Arsenal still want another number 9 instead of having to play Nketiah, even though he has been in decent form. And Jesus can't be your everyday 9
Dude,
if you want to be a title contender.
I'll play striker for United at this point.
Yeah, that's fair.
They'll pay me.
Um, they won't pay for anyone lately.
I'll
Um,
pay for it. I'll
I
go on a
mean,
free.
true.
They'll
Chelsea
loan
aren't.
me.
Yeah,
They'll
I was
loan
gonna
me from my
say,
parents.
and the other one is Chelsea aren't totally sold on Jackson right now, so they could go for a Tony as well.
Oh my
So those are
god! Of
kind of the
course
three
they will.
teams.
Of
Those are the
course
three
they will.
teams I expect.
They
Honestly,
sicken me.
the move that I want to see the most is Ramsdale out of Arsenal. He needs a
Yeah,
game. He deserves minutes because, like, don't get me wrong, Raya's good, but he hasn't been good enough to completely erase Ramsdale's minutes. Um, so with that being said, Arsenal Newcastle, how are we feeling about that one?
two teams that are just on different spectrums of the ride right now. I mean, Newcastle an all-time high. Going into Old Trafford, taking 3 goals and 3 points, but a spot in the quarterfinal for the Carabao.
Did draw
Um,
against Wolves before that though.
man, it's tough. Where's this game being played?
This one is being played at Newcastle.
I'm still gonna favorite Arsenal. I think I'm like a 2-1. It's like a slight 2-1, 1-0, one of those like scrappy wins. It's gonna be battle back and forth. Maybe we'll get a breakthrough from, I don't know, pick your poison. Martinelli or Saka or one of whoever. Would Nketiah start up top?
It would as long as everyone's healthy. I don't know it
Or
off the top of my head. It would
Jesus
be Jesus, Saka, Martinelli.
Martinelli?
Because Trossard and Ketia, I believe, started over the midweek in their the game they lost to West
In
Ham.
the West Ham. Yeah.
Yeah,
So one of those wingers are going to find the breakthrough. Um, I don't know. I like both of them a lot. I love Martinelli. I would. Oh man, I wish. Marcus, just please, just
figured out.
yeah, man. Like you got your new cleats. Congratulations. You got your first signature boot from Nike. Um, just figure it out, man. I want to just a competent. I just want a competent team to play.
Yeah,
I'll favor Arsenal.
yeah. Sadly, Rodrigo just extended from Real Madrid. That would be my dream signing for top. Like, obviously, it wouldn't happen, but like that's my
Dude,
dream.
I
Like,
signed him. I signed him in a FIFA career mode. Oh my god, like that guy just develops into like an absolute baller. Like he's so good, so rapid
yeah,
on the right side. Imagine, imagine like Sonny. I mean, pick your poison.
Sonny,
Sonny, Madison, and
Ferguson,
Rodrigo. Oh
and
my
then you got
god.
Matters pulling the strings.
Oh, hey, Harry Kane wishes he'll come back to Tottenham.
You know what I'm saying? Harry Kane misses us. All right. I'm gonna go 3-2 Newcastle,
Mm.
partially because I need it as a Tottenham fan,
Yeah, fair,
looking
fair, fair.
like
I get you.
needing the points, but also at Newcastle, it really gives them an edge. And I do think a 3-0 against United, where you don't have to start all your players, really is a confidence boost. Whereas Arsenal takes a dip from a 3-1 loss, on the flip side.
Yeah.
Spurs, Chelsea.
Well,
This one concerns me, and it's primarily because Spurs suck against Chelsea.
yeah, they do.
They are
Historically bad.
terrible against Chelsea.
I think of the
And it's
time when what was it, Hazard scored the goal that sealed the title for was it Leicester? Did you finish in second when Leicester won the title?
it's top of my head. I just know we'd never
But
finish
there was a
first.
goal, right? And you guys were you at Stamford Bridge or were you at White Hart Lane? But Hazard scored against Tottenham to allow the team. It might have been a City. It might have been City. Now that I think about it, it might have been. I think it was like City than you. You guys
I
are
was gonna
historically bad, especially at Stamford Bridge.
Yeah.
And but there's just one difference though. You guys have big Ange Postecoglou. I'm gonna go with the Spurs. Um, Clean sheet for Vicario, 2-0.
It is a home match for Tottenham. It's at Tottenham Hotspur Stadium.
Oh, it's at. I thought it was at Stamford Bridge. Why am I? I'm such a
I'm
dummy. I'm
Stamford
so.
Bridge is their Carabao Cup match.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
Yeah.
I still think you'll pull out the victory.
So I
Come on,
do.
back your boys, man.
No, I'm going to. I'm going
Okay.
to. I'm just like, whenever I see Spurs Chelsea, it concerns me just
Oh
because
yeah,
I
it's always a
so
tough
like
London
I
mashup. Yeah,
Spurs Chelsea Spurs Arsenal are the worst matches for Tottenham. Tottenham usually play Liverpool well and lose. Obviously, this year was a little different.
playoffs.
The
Well,
you
that's for sure.
they are City's kryptonite, especially at Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. And as long as Ronaldo isn't on United, they play United well. It's true. It's 100%
Yeah,
true.
yeah.
Because Ronaldo had a
Tap in
hat trick
merchant,
and single-handedly beat
tap
Spurs.
in merchant.
I just have PTSD from that game.
Yeah, no, I get it.
Um, I'm gonna go 3-1 Tottenham.
I was considering that as well, but I'm
I
I'm
think
back in GG Vicario.
I'm gonna go 3-1. The primary thing that also is causing this hesitation is Pochettino returns.
Ba-da-dum, ba-da-dum, ba-da-da-da-da, bum,
Yeah.
bum, ba-da-dum,
So that's
ba-da-da-da-da,
my
bum,
concern. All right.
bum, bum.
Let's quickly Bayern Dortmund and then we'll do our Premier League roundup.
Cool beans.
Where I'm going to say that I don't think there is any club that can sincerely challenge Leverkusen at this point, especially if these two teams draw.
Mm.
Challenge or agree with that statement.
I agree. Because I mean, look, Leverkusen's they're on such great form right now, like 5 from 5, and they're just like dominating this league that for a long time that I've considered this league to be the second best league in all of Europe, but now I'm slightly favoring Italy. I think in terms of their competition, like we saw it last year, how close it was, and um, but definitely Germany is top three in my opinion. And seeing Bayern Leverkusen, because one of the things I hate is like the same old team like winning the league. We saw it with the other Manchester club for years. I mean, Leicester pulled a rabbit out of their hat that year. Like that was just one of the most amazing things I've ever seen.
Liverpool.
Liverpool, but with Leverkusen, I who can stop them? I would love to see them like on a big stage, like
Stuttgart.
dude, Stuttgart, man.
They're still in
Stuttgart,
third.
Stuttgart are
Still,
going to be the Stuttgart are the new Union. I'll be a Stuttgart fan next year, and they'll finish in 14th.
it's
Yeah, but in terms of this matchup, oh man, so it's at one of my favorite places in the world, which is Signal Iduna, and I love that black and yellow curtain that just parties all day, and they just cheer. Like I have, the fans of Dortmund are so passionate. And I know people will say, well, a lot of teams are passionate. No one does it like, to me, no one does it like Dortmund. No one. It's on my bucket list for a reason. Um, However, if you get beat by a third level team, and if you're not pissed off, I'll say pissed off. If you are not pissed off, there's something wrong. I think Bayern are going to be angry. I don't think Tuchel is going to allow this to happen ever again. Therefore, I will go with a Bayern win. It'll be close. There's no such thing as defense in the Bundesliga. So I'm gonna go 3-2. Bayern Munchen to get 3 points.
I agree that Bayern are going to be mad, and I have a feeling Harry Kane he's going to be mad. My favorite. I love that Griezmann video so much.
Harry Kane.
Um, they have a 27 goal differential in the league, and still aren't first. They've scored 34 goals in the league, and Dortmund have only scored 20. So I think that's the biggest concern is Dortmund only have conceded 11, but they don't have that same goal scoring threat that Bayern does, which is it's a little Captain Obvious because we kind of know that, but I'm gonna go 2-0
Fine.
Bayern.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because like you're at home, so I think they're gonna have a little bit of backing, which is gonna make it a little tougher to score. But I just don't see them. I just don't think they have enough. And I do think that the lit injury does hurt Bayern, but still, like I just think Bayern's gonna come out with a little extra something.
I agree with that. Like, I just really want this to turn into a 5 goal thriller because like we deserve it as fans. Like,
Yeah.
I appreciate a nil. Like, I'm not gonna say I love a 0-0 game because you want goals. Like, it's part goals are part of the game, but
Yeah.
also like defense and tactics are also part of the game. So like, yeah, your average consumer is gonna hate a 0-0, a 1-0. If this were to be a 1-0, 2-0, 2-1, like this could be one of the best games of the year on the calendar, especially for the Bundesliga. But I really want like an MLS-esque 5 goal thriller, just like, boom, but like one after the other, like Bayern, Dortmund, Bayern, Dortmund,
Wide
Bayern,
open match. Yeah.
yeah, I could see this happening.
I just think you're gonna get a Tuchel masterclass. I really do. I think he's
Probably
gonna
after that fiasco. Yeah, probably.
he's gonna
Yeah.
strap up the boots, tighten up the belt, and really step in there and deliver a masterclass. But all right, let's round out with our Premier League roundup. What this is, we're going from the bottom of the table to the top
Oh,
of the table, and
okay.
we're gonna label each club for what we think there are. So we're starting with Sheffield and we're finishing with Spurs, a statement that makes me very happy to say. We're going to label them as one of six things: facing the drop, avoiding relegation, mid table team, European club, Champions League hopeful, or title contender. Now, it just because you can put four teams in facing the drop. I know only three teams face the drop, but if you think they're a team that really is just of that, it's more like what kind of quality do they have? Like, what kind of tier do you see them? It's kind of like a tier list to a degree.
Yeah.
So we'll go bottom to top. Jeremy, let's start it out with Sheffield United. One
Uh,
point in the league so far.
facing the drop. I when I saw Man U like struggle against the Sheffield, like I felt ashamed, like to just be a supporter of this team. Now they ended up beating them 2-1 on a Diogo Dallo. Now I won't talk about Diogo Dallo because he had a shocking performance against Newcastle. Everyone was just abusing his side, but he did score a masterclass against Sheffield. They just, to me, we let them in that game, and that's really the only run of Sheffield that I've seen so far. And I mean, they haven't won. They're the only team without a win so far, and for that reason, I think they're going to go back to the championship.
That was the post Bobby match, correct?
It was,
It
yes,
was.
it was,
So
it
that
was, it
I
was the
also would
day.
give United a little of a pass because that's also an
Yeah, but
emotional
still,
fixture for sure. But I will say giving up 6 shots on goal and 12 total shot attempts against Sheffield is concerning. Um, okay. I agree they're facing the drop. And I would say the same for the next three clubs. And you may not agree with one or two of them, but I would say they are in the facing the drop category, the next three clubs: Burnley, Luton, and Bournemouth. I think those four teams are in the category of you haven't shown me anything to make me believe that you are a Premier League quality side at the moment.
I agree. I think so. Right now, if you were to ask me out of these three, who is the team that's going to survive relegation, I would, oh man,
I would say Burnley.
I would say Burnley as well. I think with their whole new investment plan, I really think that JJ Watt and Dude Perfect are going to walk into that meeting in January and they're going to say, "Hey man, we want to get a new striker. Let's get Pulisic." And they're going to be like, "No, like he plays for AC Milan." "Okay, let's get Tyler Adams." "Oh no, he's hurt for like 6 months." Um I can actually see them bringing in an American. I don't know who, just because of all their ties with America.
Tim
Um
Ream.
oh, that's a good, to be fair. Like, yeah.
It's not the
Um,
worst.
He's like gonna be like 36, but
Yeah.
they really want to
Little
invest.
veteran leadership, you know?
But yeah, I would slightly put like I think Burnley is the fringe, like avoid relegation, facing the drop. They're gonna be my 17th place team by the end of
Okay. All right. So now we're kind of creeping into that next category of avoiding relegation. I would really only, I think, put one team in this category from what I've seen, just because it's been such a tight race. And I think Forest is the only team I'm putting in the avoiding relegation category. Some might argue that Everton deserve to be there as well, but I'm going to touch on them in my mid-table team just because they've really just been fun lately. And at the end of the day, if you can at least give your fans something to watch, something to root for, something to enjoy, you certainly have a case for yourself. I think he's got the boys rolling a little bit. You know, they're decent form's improving. They started out very poor. They were much closer to the actual drop than they are now. 9 points clear at the moment, so I think that's going to continue to improve. So I would say Forest is the only team I'm putting in that E avoiding relegation category.
Yeah, so my avoiding relegation teams are Burnley and Forest. So I can see Nottingham staying exactly where they are, um, in 16th place. Um, Sean Dyche is he's a feisty one, man. Like he's going to fight, and I don't think Everton are going to be in that spot last year where they were fighting for their lives basically on the last day and or fighting for a victory. I think they're going to be comfortable. I can see them finishing as high as maybe 12th and like say like in that 12 to 15 range. Um, with like Fulham, Wolves, Palace, they're going to be like those classified mid-table teams for years to come unless one of these championship winners sticks around and figures it out.
Yeah, the only thing I want to say is I actually maybe I'm just delusional because I just enjoy watching Everton, but I could see them in current form from what I've seen in their matches, see them finishing above Fulham, Palace, and Brentford. And I think they'll finish in a battle between them and Wolves for the kind of like whatever spot that would be, 11 or 10,
Mm-hmm.
whatever that one would be.
I mean, if
Uh
they keep winning for sure, and if they sweep this bottom of the table, like whenever they face like a Sheffield, a Luton, a Bournemouth, even a Burnley, like those are going to be dogfights, and they're going to want to take all 3 points from them because, like as I said before, like this is a club that's had a reputation of being, a top 8, top 10 club for years, and um, I think their fans would definitely agree with that. Yeah, it's going to be they're going to have to capitalize against the teams that are quote unquote worse than them. So your Sheffields, your Lutons, your Burnleys, your Bournemouth especially. I think Bournemouth are going to be back in the championship by the end of the year.
yeah. Yeah, the only team I would could potentially make that not a reality is Burnley, depending on if they can figure it out. But I believe have a little belief in company. So my mid-table teams are going to be. I hate to say this to you, Jeremy. Currently, United, Brentford, Wolves, Palace, Fulham, and Everton. So those are my current mid-table teams, and Chelsea is fringe for me there, but they've dug out some results lately, and they've put together some better performances. 2-2 against Arsenal. That 2-0 against Brentford was a little disappointing, but I do think in general they just have quality up and down their roster. Um, and again, once you have that quality, especially young quality that can develop at least a decent manager in Pochettino, um, there's something to look forward to as far as Chelsea's concerned, and they're gonna spend money, sometimes blindly, but they'll spend money. I just want a clarification on what's your mid-table qualification?
My mid tables are Everton, Fulham. So basically, I'm going up. Everton, Fulham, Palace, Wolves, Brentford, West Ham.
Okay.
So I think Chelsea and United are gonna bump it up a little bit. Um, I refuse to accept Man U as a mid-table team. I get it. On current form, they're playing like one, but where I'm looking right now, like, yeah, they're in eighth, and they're gonna face a little bit of a gauntlet coming up. But I refuse to see Man U fall below 10th place. I refuse to, and if that happens, you're gonna see like a revolution on your hands, like in the streets. Like it'll be bad. It'll be bad. Um, I agree. I think Chelsea are they're gonna probably bump up as well. And you made the great point. Like, yeah, they're gonna
Especially when
spend a lot
Nkunku
of
comes back.
yeah, they're gonna spend a lot of money blindly. Definitely blindly. That man Todd Bowley. Whatever he does. Um, if I'm Man U, I don't accept this current form. I really want to see them. I want to see change. But I will not be surprised if they end up. But I'm predicting that they're gonna. That's gonna be such a joke. But they're gonna be in the Conference League, and they're gonna get all the memes. All the memes. They might not get. I'd rather them. Oh man, no. I'd rather them be in the Conference League than nothing. But I think they're gonna be in the Conference League, and they're gonna play on. What is it? Thursdays? Is it
Yeah,
Thursdays with Europa League?
there's that. I think they're
Although
gonna finish ninth or 10th.
I love the UEFA Champions League anthem, but that Europa League anthem is fire as well. It's such a fire one. But yeah. So then my fringe Champions League or European content, what did you label it as?
European clubs.
European clubs. They're gonna be so Chelsea, Man United, Brighton, Newcastle, and Villa. And then
So
the top four is going to be the top four.
okay, so what I have for European clubs, European potential, I guess you could even label it as Chelsea, West Ham, Brighton, and Villa.
Villa.
I still think Newcastle have enough to potentially put their hat back in the ring just because they've had some really good performances.
I could see Newcastle finishing fifth.
I still could see Villa finishing fifth. It's just kind of a matter of like Villa have looked really good against the teams they're below. I want to see Villa, and I don't want this to be against Tottenham because they do have a match against Tottenham coming up. But Villa do need to, I think, have one or two really impressive performances against a top flight team, a top team in this Prem, in this current race. And then maybe that I change that tune and put them into the Champions League hopeful. Because they have earned it in so far as their results, but I don't think they've earned it in so far as they haven't played a certain caliber of opponent quite yet and been quite as impressive as against like a City, an Arsenal, a Liverpool, and Tottenham. So the top four, I would say the title or the Champions League hopefuls, it goes Newcastle, Liverpool, Arsenal, Tottenham. And then the title contenders kind of have a little overlap here as well. I still think it's just Liverpool, City, Arsenal. I don't think Tottenham have. You got to sustain this a little longer. And especially as a Tottenham fan who's used to not winning anything.
Wow.
I'm waiting to believe.
Okay.
Well, I believe in the Champions League chase, but I'm waiting to believe.
I think you're. I don't want to say because it's so early, right?
Yeah.
I don't want to say you're a lock for anything, but I will not be surprised if you are playing on Tuesdays and Wednesdays next year.
Yeah. My one thing is
where are
they come January? Where are they come January? Come the January window.
That's the fair like where are they come the new year?
I want to see, are you within 5 points? That's kind of the furthest I want to be
top?
Of one. If you're within,
you are
5
one
points,
right now, man, and
yes.
it's November, so that's 2 months.
But again, they have the Chelsea, Wolves, Villa, City, West Ham, Newcastle. If your form drops, that's a lot of missed points. The one upside for Tottenham, Chelsea, Villa, West Ham, and Newcastle of those 6 matches are all at home.
whoa. But then that means your second, like later in the year, it's going to be on the road, and you're going to have to.
But if you're in that position and you put some money on the table and really go invest, go get this.
Yeah,
you're in a better position to go on the road against those teams.
Yeah, right. It starts
belief.
with investing in January to go on those runs.
But I think they
yeah.
have to be within 5 to where it's worth investing and not just kind of doing it over the next summer window.
Fair. I agree. Yeah, I think if you're that, like, if you're still up there, man, go get that extra striker, go get that extra defensive help. I did say before we end, do you want my champion?
My champion's still City. I don't think
it still sits at. Yeah, it's gonna be Man City. I think they're gonna find a way, like they always do. I'm gonna hear Blue Moon on repeat, and it's gonna be hell. But Pep is Pep, and he finds a way.
What's your current top 4? What would you say is your top 4? Because mine currently, I would say, is going to be City, Liverpool, Spurs, Arsenal.
Oh, okay.
But I could, like, again, and I'm going to be
I'm going
to be semi unbiased here. Arsenal and Tottenham could certainly flip, but I see North London battling 3-4, and then City, then Liverpool. Because Liverpool, when they're at full strength, have been very, very, very impressive to me.
I'm gonna go City, Liverpool, Arsenal, Spurs.
Okay, that's fair. I mean, no one had top of the table, not even me. So.
If Villa cracks that, I'm just like, man, oh man, Unai Emery.
Even if Newcastle without Tonali cracks that, I would be very, very surprised. But all right, final comments here, Jeremy. Any final comments here, whether on United, the Prem table, or otherwise?
No, excited for Bayern, Dortmund. Definitely excited to watch that one over the weekend. I have a bit of a busy weekend, so I have to kind of maybe watch a lot of these on replay. I should be free Sunday to watch Sunday and Monday. But United, please win. Please. Pretty please return on top. But
what's that TikTok guy, Young Kippa? Is that his name? I want to see him miserable after that Spurs Chelsea match. Is that
yeah, I know you're talking about.
I want to see him miserable after the Chelsea match, because his sad videos after a loss are very, very satisfying to a fellow London club. All right, that's a wrap. We're back, hopefully able to continue the 1 episode a week thing. Come on, you Spurs. Let's go, Celtics. And I know you're going to say, come on, Rags.
Rangers.
So that'll round it out. We'll see you next week and hopefully have some positive news here for Spurs and for United.